March the 4th. It is today. And come on, computer.
Maybe where you are, where I am, it's March the 2nd.
Second, for me,
What did I say?
March the 4th.
Did I say that? Oh my
You
goodness.
did, yes. Could
What's
this be?
going to happen in March the 4th?
I don't know, but I was afraid I'd lost 2 days and didn't know it.
Oh, forgive me, guys. It was not intentional, I swear. You know, I put the do you see? I put the right. Oh, no, I put the March of. What about the. Oh, I know. I know that. I know the reason. There is a very dear person to my heart, and that person was born in March the 4th. And by the time I was putting those slides together, I just recalled that his birthday was supposed to be in a few days. It was my grandpa. And every time I think about him, something happens just to remind me that he is nearby. Yeah. So my grandpa, he is a character. He's somebody. Anyway, so as usual, let's start with the prayer. And this time I put together with you don't have to see the video. It's just about the song. It's very pretty. I hope that you all can hear the music. Is the music okay?
Very nice.
Okay, Grandpa, this is to you. This goes to you. Let's close our eyes and relax our bodies and our thoughts. Give us some moments to sense the spirits nearby, our mentors, the mentors of this group, the higher beings coordinating the plans for us, the plans for our lives, the plans for our studies. Wise and benevolent spirits, messengers of God, whose mission is to assist people and lead them or lead us on the pathway of the good. Uphold us during the trials of our lives. Give us the strength to bear them without complaint. Enlighten our consciousness regarding our thoughts and lift from our eyes the veil of pride that prevents us from perceiving them and acknowledge them. To ourselves. You, especially you, our guardian angels and higher beings, higher spirits here with us today, who watch most particularly over us, and all of you protector spirits who have taken an interest in us, each one of us, enable us worthy of your benevolence, worthy of your attention. You know our needs, you know our weaknesses, You know ourselves so well. You can see all the rooms for improvement. So you know our true needs. May they be fulfilled according to God's will, according to our own efforts. Dear God, allow the good spirits here with us today, the good spirits who assist us to come to our aid when we are in trouble, and to uphold us if we waver. O Lord, enable the higher beings here with us today to inspire us with faith, hope, and charity, actually to inspire the whole world, the ones who are suffering right now, with faith, hope, and charity. Enable us to find in these higher beings the strength we lack in the life's trials. Resist evil suggestions, bad choices. Enable us to find in them, in those higher beings, the faith that saves, the love that consoles. Beloved spirits, angels, you whom God is in his infinite mercy allows to watch over humankind, be our protectors in the trials of our earthly life. And you, good angels, do not forsake us, because at the end of the day, we all need all of your watch care to bear with faith and love the trials certainly needed for our own soul's education and evolution towards our Father in heaven. And so be it. Okay, guys. Hope you all still can see. So the agenda for 2024, those are the plans I already told you about. Giovanni, he just sent me a text saying, yeah, he's putting together a topic to talk to us. Pretty soon I'll be talking about introduction to gospel according to Spiritism, because that structure aligns very well with the Spirit's books and the topics we are covering right now. So we will understand how the whole book, not only the Spirit's book, but the whole how can I say, all the books from Allan Kardec, how they are structured. I do have the material already. They are ready. The slides are ready. I just need to put together some ideas, and then we'll be discussing about that. And pretty soon we'll start with the following book from the series, Spiritual Realm, from André Luiz, Workers of the Eternal Life. Life Eternal. I always say backwards. Workers of the Life Eternal. That's the next book in the sequence. And there will be, I'm very glad to say that one of the friends that I have from the Spirit Center here in Houston. Her name is Tatiani Ndaya. So she will be with us. She will be talking to us about a study that she presented in the Spirit Center. She's very active in the Spiritism. She's Brazilian. She lives here for a while, for a long time. I don't know how many years, but a long time. And she is a very dear friend, very nice person, and she did a wonderful job presenting this topic that is sparkling our inner light. So she'll be talking to us on March the 16th. The study is based on this book from Chico Xavier, Voltei. I tried to find the English version of this book, and I was not able to. Maybe Giles will be able to find something because he has wonderful skills in terms of searching stuff in the internet, but I was not able to find the translation for this book from Chico Xavier, Voltei. It is one of the very few books that is dictated by what they call, or the so-called spirit, Brother Jacob. But Brother Jacob actually is a code name for Frederick Figner. Frederick Figner was an inventor and entrepreneur. He was born, I think, in 1902, something like this. Anyway, a long time ago. And no, not 1902. It was 1866. 1866. So he was a very interesting figure, very important in Brazil history from a technology standpoint, especially in the industry of music and recordings. And the book is very, very interesting. Not I don't remember how many pages, but it's something like less than 250 pages. And Tatiana did a wonderful job putting together, some ideas from this book, and she will share with us on the 16th. I will send this slide to Wendy later on, and I'll ask her to spread to her group as well in case they want to see it. Yeah, so the following book, Workers of the Life Eternal. I have to ask you guys because this is me, whenever you read this title, Workers of the Life Eternal, does it sound correct to you? Oh, thank you. Because to me, it's not, something is crooked, right? So
It's backwards to me.
it's backwards to me as well. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay, so
Well,
but
if they had taken out, if it was just Workers of Life Eternal, that's easier than Workers of the Life Eternal.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But
yes.
eternal life goes together better, I think.
Eternal life, exactly. That's what makes most sense to me. But anyways, just me, myself, and I, and my doubts, because I'm not speaking.
Let me interject something here.
Okay, somebody who's academic.
So, frequently, you'll hear the phrase "life everlasting,"
Yeah,
and I think that's the equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, like Carol says, you can say it either way. You can say everlasting life. You can say life everlasting. I don't know. I'll have to check on that and see, but I think that's I was thinking that it was so often here in Louisiana, because of the Cajun and Creole French that's spoken, people will say, "I'm going to the store, me." And I ask, explain that to me. And I'm told it's a literal translation of the French words. In other words, a pronoun goes at the end. Is it that way in Portuguese? Well, so they literally say the English the way they were saying the French. In other words, she's going to the store, her.
Wow.
And the first few times I heard that, I went, what? So I think it's a translation thing.
Well, and I was just going to ask that of Anna. This is in English. Maybe this is the way it translated in English from Portuguese with life eternal. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe
yes,
in the
that exactly. So if I think in Portuguese, that's exactly how we say life eternal. But we understand as we do the translation, and normally all the books from this, the Brazilian Federation, Spiritist Federation, they do a very good job translating, like they do the translation and then a second person, and then at the end, somebody, not a Brazilian, but somebody academic and speaking English as, the first idiom or language, somebody like that will review. So I don't know. It sounds weird to me, but you might be right. I'm an engineer. I'm not supposed to know even Portuguese well. So we are talking about book number 1 now, First Causes. We already covered that. And then last time that we met, we were talking about proof of God's existence. And the question was, where can the proof of God's existence be found? So the answer to the question number 4 is in a premise that it is applied in science, that there is no effect without a cause. Investigate the cause of anything that is not the work of human beings, and the reason shall provide the answer. So let me see. Before I'm gonna do the video again. The video that we didn't watch. It was just me watching the video. I didn't know that you guys didn't see the video. I'm gonna do the video again, but before I do the video again, I have to let me ask you this first. Do you know what that is? Any guess?
Do you want somebody to answer that? Or is that a rhetorical question?
No, it's probably you will know.
It's a hydrogen atom.
Boomer, you know that. Yes, exactly. That's the hydrogen atom. That's the picture that was taken for the first time in 2013, I believe, like 10 years ago. So not too long ago. And then finally, our models and our calculations and blah, 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 we were able to, how can I say, predict how the hydrogen atom was supposed to look like. As a matter of fact, all the other atoms in nature, but this one is the first one, is the simple one. It's just one proton, one electron, and that'll be it, right? So, but everybody was crazy about taking the real picture just to make sure that our predictions and everything that we were doing by calculations, estimates, if they were right, confirmation. So
You
we
forgot
got
the
it.
neutron. The neutron you forgot.
Yes, sorry.
Proton,
Yeah, it's
neutron.
neutron. That's why I don't remember never. So it's neutron. It's not positive. It's not
Okay.
negative.
It
It's
doesn't
just,
do much, does it?
it's
Just sits
whatever.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the truly amazing thing about the atoms is I've put a YouTube link, which is very much worth watching. And it's got these diagrammatic images of atoms. The quarks and leptons spring into and out of existence while existing in the atom. And things get very, very mysterious.
Is precisely, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about, because at some point we were, I mean, all the scientists, they were digging deeper and deeper and deeper to find the very last particle, or the you know, the first one, right? The first particle. Evidently, the atom is not the end. We still have subparticles, and then subparticles, like Giles was saying, and then more and more and more. But the thing is, the scientists, they were digging. They wanted to see what is the magic, what is God in those little bitty things, right? So must be something. There must be something. What a surprise. You know, the more we dig, and at some point we found nothing, right? We found nothing. So
So I beg your pardon, Anna, but it's worth mentioning here that the law of entropy, being the second law of energy and physics, is truly depressing. And what seems to have occurred to nobody yet is that as entropy increases, in other words, chaos increases and energy descends, lowers, so spirit develops. And when you heard that phrase, not a sparrow shall fall, it's even better than that. I've always been suspicious of that particular statement, not a sparrow shall fall. But it's actually not a quark shall undo without increasing development of spirit. Nothing is wasted. It's so much finer than we can imagine. I just wanted to throw that out there because
yeah,
I've never read that anywhere, and it just struck me a year or two ago that that's the only possible reason that this material universe can go to a frozen hell in a cold, dark place and still have meaning, because as it freezes and slows down and gets darker, so spirit develops and increases.
yeah.
Equal and opposite measure. Sorry, that was an interruption.
Thank you, Giles. Yeah, lots of things to talk about. Being entropy, one of the very interesting things, because I still remember when I was doing my post-graduation in thermodynamics and entropy, all those law of energies. But here today, just to keep it simple, let's let's go over the hydrogen, and I want to say, you know, like Giles was talking about all the subparticles that we can imagine or perceive or anticipate. They are there because the calculations, they're telling us, you know, there is something even smaller and smaller, that the deeper we go, then we will see particles of matter, and at some point we will not find any more particles of matter, right? But just keeping simple over here, let's look at the hydrogen. So the scientists, they were looking for what is the magic? What is God in all this creation? because it's like God playing those Legos. How do you say Legos? Legos, right? So just putting together the atoms and creating stuff, right? So, but at the end of the day, if we think we would find God in something that is actually matter, that is completely insane. It's like, I remember last time when we were talking about this, Luis mentioned an example about him manufacturing this chair. It's like disassembling the chair, trying to find Luis, the creator. So as we dig into the atom, evidently we will not see God in there, nothing there, because God is like us, a force that can manipulate, can maneuver the matter to create atoms, to create stars, planets. We create bad thoughts for now, but one day we will be able to create good stuff like stars and planets, right? So the question is to the group, if is the first cause of creation found in the essential properties of matter? Remember, we were looking at the hydrogen, and now we know that the scientists, they are aware of even smaller particles, but the more they dig, the less they see. So is the first cause of creation found in the essential properties of matter? What do we think?
That video that I put a link in to watch talks about the physical constants required to make this universe work. And there's a difference of opinion. Some have it as low as 10 or 15, and others have it at over 300 physical constants. But they all agree that if any one of them were out by 1%, and sometimes less, the physical universe could not exist in its current state. And the chances of this happening by chance are 64 billion trillion to 1 against.
Not a chance.
And as I point out, that this is scientific proof of God, because only an intelligent spirit with reason could have created such a series of constants, balance things just so. Now, they discuss, oh, let's have 64 billion trillion other universes, and this is just one by accident. Well, what a waste of time.
Isn't it?
And one thing the Great Spirit doesn't do is waste anything.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing. As a matter of fact, Giles, there is a group that we hold book readings every Wednesdays. No, not every Wednesdays, every other Wednesday. And the book we are reading is Paul and Stevens. And not Stevens, Stephen, Paul and Stephen is this one. So that's the book we are reading. So it's significant. It's 600 something pages. I have read this book, and this is the third time. And we are doing as a group. And every time I read this book, there is something, there is a new lesson. And it's amazing because Emmanuel, he's using every single word with a purpose, a very good purpose. There is always a very good reason why those words, those specific words that we're using that way. So like I said, there is no waste. Absolutely no waste. There is no intention to amuse us, but educate us all the time. So it's the first cause of creation, found in the essential properties of matter. So the answer to this is the answer to the question number 7, the Spirit's book. Then, if so, then what would be the cause of these properties? There must be always a first cause. So it's like, if we think about Louis' chairs, so I can I can disassemble the whole chair, I can dissolve the chair trying to find Louis in something that he created, right? So there is no point. So the creature might hold some properties of the creator because there is a signature there, but it is not the creator himself. Okay, so let me see if now we can play the video and you guys let me know if the sound is fine and if you can see.
Anna, sorry, could you put the name of the book in the chat?
Yes, I will.
Socrates once stated that we should follow the argument wherever it leads. When we look at the most profound question of life, does God exist?
Oh, I realized that I cannot, just a sec. Book is Paul Stephen. If I, okay, there you go.
We should certainly follow his advice. When we do, we'll find evidences that show us God is real. Let's look at 6 proofs that show God exists. Number 1, the universe must have a cause. The most fundamental law of science is the law of cause and effect. And it says that for every material effect we see, there is a cause that came before it or was simultaneous to it, and that is greater than it. The universe is a material effect. So what caused the universe? You see, if you don't believe in a creator, then you have to suggest something like a singularity. That's what is popular today, that there was some type of singularity that exploded in something called the Big Bang. But then when you try to get down to the bottom of what's a singularity, well, what we hear from the scientific community that suggests to us, the cosmologists, they say, well, a singularity was something that popped into existence from nothing. Do you know that if there ever were a time when there was nothing, that's exactly what we would have now? The idea that something popped into existence from nothing is simply not a scientific idea. You see, they're suggesting that that singularity is somehow natural, but it behaves supernaturally. They say that that singularity wouldn't have followed the laws of nature. Well, then, so what are we left with? We're left with the fact that the universe had a beginning, and it was not a natural cause. It was something above nature. It was something super nature, something supernatural. And so when we see the material effect of the universe, we can know that there was a supernatural creator that caused the universe. Proof number 2, design demands a designer. It is a truism that everybody recognizes that this universe looks designed. In fact, when we see the various different aspects of nature, and we see birds and squirrels and trees, and we see all of the things that they do so well, many times we as humans, we try to copy and mimic that design, but often we don't do nearly as well as the design that we see in nature. We look at the design of the human body and the human hand and the arm and the leg and the brain, and we see that those are some of the most advanced, technologically savvy pieces of equipment ever put together, and we try to mimic them and copy them, and we can't do it as well. Why? Because this universe exhibits design from the starry sky at night to the fingertips on your hand. The design is overwhelming. It's everywhere. Where does design originate? Well, what you and I both know is that when you see things that function and they're complex, that design comes from an intelligent designer. Big explosions just simply don't bring about order. They don't cause things that are functional and complex to come into existence. The design we see in the universe demands a supernatural, intelligent designer. Proof number 3. Life demands a supernatural life giver. You see, in the material world, we have come to understand that there is a law of biology called the law of biogenesis. Law of biogenesis simply says this, that in this material, natural world, life comes from previously existing life of its own kind. Now, when we look at how people used to think about life, they said, no, life can arise spontaneously from non-living chemicals. And yet every single biological experiment has shown us that that simply is biologically impossible. Life doesn't arise from non-living chemicals. From where did life arise? Where did life originate if it doesn't arise from non-living chemicals? You see, the idea that there's no God suggests to us that there had to be some singularity without a cause that exploded, and that explosion brought about design, which we've never ever seen happen, and then ultimately somewhere the non-living chemicals gave rise to life. But that's biologically impossible. Life demands a supernatural creator. Proof number 4. Moral law demands a moral law giver. If some things are objectively morally right and other things are objectively morally wrong, then there must be a God. You see, if we evolved from primordial slime over multiplied millions of years, at what point did objective moral values arise? We don't look at a dog and say that that dog objectively, morally violated some rule when he steals a bone from another dog. We don't say, hey, he violated a objective moral value. We just don't say that. But we do say that humans can perpetrate things that are objectively morally wrong, that humans can be involved in things that are morally right. If that's true, there must be a God. Proof number 5, free will exists. The atheistic idea that there is no God is founded on the idea of materialism, the idea that this material world is all that there is, all that there was, and all that there ever will be. Because of that, atheism has to suggest that you as a person don't really have free will, that there is no being inside of your body or brain that is super matter, that really what's going on in your brain is just electrons bouncing around, and you're the product of those bounces, and you don't really make decisions on your own. It's just the physical laws and properties going on in your brain. If you are watching this video of your own volition, then the fact of the matter is there has to be a God that can account for that free will that you as a person have. There has to be a God if there is free will. And proof number 6, human reasoning. You see, we reason on a regular basis. We understand abstract ideas. If we were products of blind, chance, random processes over multiplied millions of years, reasoning and the laws of reasoning simply would have no explanation. And yet we reason together on a regular basis. From where does reason arise? It's got no naturalistic, atheistic explanation. Antony Flew, the atheist who wrote Theology and Falsification, the most popular atheistic paper for the last 100 years, the last century. In 2006, he co-wrote a book titled There Is a God, How the World's Most Notorious Atheist Became a Believer. He stated that his rule of life had always been to follow the evidence where it leads. And he said he followed that evidence. And it led him to the conclusion that there is a supernatural, intelligent God. Let's let the evidence lead us to that same conclusion.
Isn't that nice?
I agree with his reasoning.
Yes. Very, very logical. And one day I already asked God, the next incarnation, I want to speak English like him. You know, he has such a wonderful pronunciation. He does a wonderful job explaining stuff and speaking very well, so clear. So he was talking about some, because there are several proofs, but some of the proofs that, you know, using logic, we know there is a God up there or out there. But I want to also talk about a comment that is we can find in the Gospel According to Spiritism book from Allan Kardec. No, sorry. The Genesis, the book of Genesis, which is the book that outline and explain a little better the first causes, or the book number 1 from the Spirit's book. So in there, in the chapter 2, the book of Genesis, Allan Kardec says, I put it over here, the existence of the clock attests the existence, not Allan Kardec, it was I forgot the Spirit, but it was a messenger from the spirits. So he said, the existence of a clock attests the existence of a clockmaker. The ingenuity of its mechanism is a proof of the intelligence and knowledge of its maker. When one sees one of these complicated clocks, which mark the hour in order to give you the knowledge of which you have need, has it ever occurred to anyone to say, there is a very intelligent clock? So at the end of the day, and then in that paragraph, he concludes, thus it is in the mechanism of the universe. This it is in the mechanism of the universe. God does not show himself, but he makes affirmation of himself in his works. So that's something very, very nice. So the question now is, could our intuitive, and this is, I just remember a comment from Gloria last week about education. So that educated minds or educated people would come up with some ideas that there must be a God or something like this. So there is a question in the Spirit book about that. And Allan Kardec, he was also concerned about that. So he asked, could our intuitive sense of God's existence simply be the result of education and the product of our acquired ideas? Do you believe that? Do you believe that Giles knows there is a God up there because he is aware of so many statistics and all the proofs, scientific proofs? No comment?
I think that there is a God, there is a creator spirit who communicates with us, who continues to create. Creation has never stopped. I don't hold with Giles that he's done it out of boredom, but I think it never stops. It hasn't stopped. How big is the universe? How vast? What's going on? I have no idea. And I don't know that anybody will really know. We perhaps should get a better idea when we have left this universe, this dimension.
Yes.
But there are vast dimensions, and so it's a continuing process of going on. So I take it in faith that there is. If I should think that there is nothing, I do not believe, as he says, that people just evolved or things just evolved. I think they were created.
There is a plan, right? There is a
There's
coordination.
yes,
There is
yes.
intelligence behind all coordinating,
And-
orchestrating
yes.
everything. Yes.
And I don't hold with the Big Bang because I said, who was present when the
I
Big Bang
always,
happened? How do you know, yes, this is what happened? Nobody knows, not even Stephen Hawking, and Stephen Hawking has now found that he didn't have all the answers.
yes,
So I think we just carry on doing the best we can.
is exactly. Yes. Thank you. Gloria, please.
Archaeology has shown us that there was an intuitive sense of God long before there was education,
Right.
ideas, language to pass on ideas. So that intuitive sense precedes education and language.
Exactly. Yes. Language, compassion, as we knew that, I have to take care of you if we both wanted to survive, those kind of things.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's exactly the answer to the question number 6. If such were the case, education, how could this intuitive sense be retained by primitive cultures? That's
Exactly.
precise. Yeah.
Because that's what I want to say. All the indigenous people, all of them recognize that there is a higher spirit.
There
All
was
of them.
something. Yes.
Yes.
Something beyond their comprehension above them. Yes. Agree. So there is a comment actually from the Spirit's book. It is a comment from Allan Kardec, and he said, if the sentiment of existence of a supreme being were solely the result of education, it would not be universal and would only exist, like all acquired knowledge, in the minds of those who have received this education. I mean, the caverns that we found, or the archaeologists found everywhere in the globe, in all continents, they will have something, they will show something, and very clearly it is a representation or recognition of those primitive cultures saying there is something beyond our comprehension, right? So it is universal. And it doesn't depend on previous education. So, and then he continues, defining God is about putting limits to the creator. How can me, a creature, put limits? Or I'm limited by time, I'm limited by space. How can I put the same limitations in my creator? I can't. In the face of this great problem, human weakness appears. God imposes himself or herself, or it doesn't matter, on our spirit, but escapes all analysis. The being that fills time and space will never be measured by beings limited by time and space. Wanting to define God would be like circumscribing him or herself or whatever, and almost denying him. So I cannot try to bring God to my little box because evidently God is out of my little box. So can I have a volunteer, Giles, to read this this
You just volunteered, Giles.
I've all told him to to read this. It is actually a very beautiful story, and you will see who wrote that or who dictated that.
Existence of God is the title of this. It is said that an old illiterate Arab prayed with such fervor and affection every night that once the rich leader of a large caravan called him to his presence and asked him, "Why do you pray with so much faith? How do you know that God exists when you can't even read?" The faithful believer replied, "Sir, I know the existence of our Heavenly Father through his signs." "How come?" asked the rich leader, astonished. The humble servant explained, "When you receive a letter from an absent person, how do you recognize who wrote it?" Answer: by looking at the handwriting. When you receive a golden jewelry, how do you find out about its author? Because of the goldsmith's mark. The old man smiled and added, when you hear animal footsteps around the tent, how do you know if it was a sheep, a horse, or an ox? Because of its footprints, replied the rich leader, surprised. Then the old believer invited him out of the tent and showed him the sky where the moon shone, surrounded by multitudes of stars. He exclaimed respectfully, "Sir, those signs up there, they cannot be from men." At this moment, the proud, rich leader with teary eyes knelt on the sand and began to pray too.
So this is a story. Thank you, Giles. Thank you so much. So this is a story that was from Mei Mei, the spirit of Mei Mei. She's a very high, elevated being, and her name is oh gosh, I'm running on blank now. Mei Mei is just her nickname, but she's a very nice and very enlightened spirit, and her and Chico, they wrote a lot of books and prayers and stories. So I found this story very nice, something that it does go very well with the topic of the day. But again, it's still about proof of God's existence. There is a question about, is it possible for science to prove the existence of God?
I have to remind everybody that it's more than one American student that has written, "Gravity didn't exist until Newton invented it."
Invented.
Well,
Isn't that funny?
someone has said that quantum scientists will prove the existence of God without any doubt.
Well, they have already. It's already proven. 64 billion trillion to 1 against. What else do you
Statistics.
need? I mean, just how difficult are you with science? That's impossible.
Yeah.
64 billion trillion to 1 against. It's just impossible. That's proof of
Giles,
God. You don't need anything else. Oh, well, you
Yes,
could look
yes,
up in the sky.
but
there's
scientists are
always a
still,
holdout.
no, but scientists are still questioning, and they still will
It is their
poo-poo.
job
Yes.
to continue the quest and ask why, where, right? So
They need jobs.
they love that.
Yeah,
So
there's the perfect answer. God does not show himself, but makes an affirmation of himself in his works.
this works.
That's
So
it. There we go.
if it was not made by us, his creations, then there that's what it is.
The
So
proof is in the pudding.
huh?
I said the proof is in the pudding.
Exactly.
But there are people who claim that they have seen, experienced God.
Right. It is something that you
Yes, and they're fried to a
feel.
crisp, according to all biblical responses. If anybody
No,
sees
no,
that
no,
a
the ones
being
I'm
that's
talking
anywhere
about,
near God, you get
ones I'm
fried to a
talking
crisp.
about, no, the ones I'm talking about are not joking and funny, and they don't do this. So they present another picture.
Well, would you say, Hyacinth, it's the essence of God that they, feel instead of a being, so to speak?
I
But
don't
it's the
think
essence.
anybody has claimed to see a person as such.
Mhm. Mhm.
But they feel the presence and they hear a voice.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So I would call that essence, but maybe not.
Mhm.
They
So
have, on the other hand, seen a person as Jesus. And remember, he did incarnate in one life. So that's,
yes,
you can understand that.
yes, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
So the next question then, where may we see in the first cause of all things a supreme intelligence superior to all other intelligences? Yes, I agree, Gloria. Certainly,
Homo
yeah.
sapiens.
Exactly. Most certainly, we are the creation. So the answer is actually the answer to the question number 9. There is a proverb that dictates the worker is known by his or her work. In that case, look at the work and you will find, oh, it's missing a letter, the author. Pride is what creates skeptics. Arrogant human beings want nothing to be above them, which is why they're called strong-minded. Pitiful beings, just one breath from God would obliterate them.
Yep.
So yes, that's what it is. So Gloria was 100% correct. So, and the comment from Allan Kardec that I found was very interesting. There are a lot of, actually it's a longer comment. I got just one paragraph. We evaluate the power of intelligence by its works. As no human being could create that which is produced by nature, the first cause must be superior to humans. Regardless the wonders accomplished by humankind, human intelligence itself has a cause, and the greater the results achieved, the greater the cause of which it is the effect. So if we are intelligent, then God is even more smart, is smarter, right? So it is this supreme intelligence that it is the first cause of all things, whatever name humanity may bestow upon it. So it is. So that's what it is for proof of God's existence. And now, still in the same chapter 1 about God, we will be talking about attributes of divinity, attributes of God, where Allan Kardec is outlining all those attributes that he was able to collect, if you will, or grasp from the answers from the spirits. And one of the questions that he selected was, is humanity capable of comprehending the essential nature of God? And the second question, will humans ever be able to understand the mystery of divinity? Oh, sorry, Giles, yes?
The answer to both questions is a resounding no. But development and evolution of spirit, according to the ancient Indian rishis, tells us that the purpose is to reunite with the Great Spirit after multiple trillions of years of evolution.
Yeah.
So when that happens, that being that we have now become in these trillions of years then joins the essential nature of God and thereby understands it. But the question is, does humanity have the possibility of understanding God? Will humans ever to be able to stand? So my answer to that is no, but it is part of our future, guaranteed.
For sure, yeah. Yeah,
Well-
I think Samuel, go ahead, Heising.
Yes, I think that we can comprehend something of the nature of God. That's keeping us on the track.
Exactly. That's what I say to the folks in the Spirit Center when they ask me to present something. At the end of the day, all the presentations and the studies that we do, I say, guys, at the end of the day, if you're still in doubt, if you go this or that way, look at nature. You will find answer over there. You know, there is always billions of answers, and if you really pay attention to the creation, if you are paying attention, means you will connect to the creator, and then the answer will pop up in your head, you know. Believe you or not, but one day I found a solution to a problem that I had by observing my tomato plant and how my tomato plant found means to grow again, despite the fact that it was broken, it was crooked. And then I just took a duct tape and I glued together the two pieces of the same stem, and the plant was able to regenerate and grow again. And by looking at it, all of a sudden I said, oh, if a tomato plant can do it, I can do it as well. Sorry, Claudia, go ahead.
I guess what I want to build on is what Hyacinth said. I believe I, as a human, can experience aspects of God that were gifts that were given to me. I can experience empathy and compassion and love and those kinds of attributes. And they're the ones that I feel. So I'm working on this. This is work in progress.
It is.
And I don't think I'll get there, but I get hits every once in a while that I'm on the right path. And those are the things that I'm capable of as a human being of comprehending that I see as essential natures of God.
Yeah, remember the elephant and all the blind men, around the elephant, and every one of them is experiencing a different piece of it, and they were all right. And the key thing is, when you look at that picture, we need to communicate. We need to exchange and share our experiences. So by sharing what I experienced, and you, Gloria, sharing what you experienced, and Carol, etc., then we can put a bigger picture together, right? So we might understand a little better if we, put together everybody's opinion. And like I said, it's more than an opinion, it's a feeling, right? Hyacinth.
Yes. Deepak Chopra once said, how can we, with our finite minds, fully comprehend the mind of God, which is infinite?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's very well said. So the question is humanity capable of comprehending the essential, I love him, by the way. Is humanity capable of comprehending the essential nature of God? Will humans ever be able to understand the mystery of divinity? Evidently, the answer no. Human beings lack the sense required to comprehend it, and humans will see and understand God when their spirits, look how interesting this is, when their spirits are no longer obscured by matter, and when they have come closer by striving for perfection. So this is telling us a lot of things. Evidently, while we are here confined in this earthly body or in this matter, yeah, we'll have a lot of imperfections, but also it's telling us while we still hold shadows in our beings, in our hearts, then there will not be, will not have a good idea. That's what they're saying, closer by striving for perfection. So, but I agree with Gloria. We are a work in progress. We'll get there, and just be patient, right? So the comment from Allan Kardec in the question number 11 is a huge comment. You just got a small piece of it. As the moral sense of human beings becomes more developed, they are able to penetrate the nature of things more deeply. They will be able to form a truer, more confirming and rational idea of God, even though it will always be incomplete as long as we are like living in this life. Or yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Yep. Alrighty. So guys, right now here in Houston is 4:13, so it's time for us to adjourn. But yeah, 4:13. And next Saturday there will be a continuation of this, and then the following Saturday we'll have this friend of mine talking to us, and she is a wonderful person. I love her. She's very nice. But I hope to see you all next Saturday, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Thank you,
Okay.
Anna.
Thank
Yep,
you.
thank you much. Everybody be
guys.
safe.